stumbled upon a giant homeless camp here. Just thousands of looters and brigands here outside Crannyrock Castle. Let's start an episode here. Let's have some fun today. Welcome back again to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. Our YouTube channel is dedicated to all things Bannerlord related, including the absurd side here. We're playing around with mods a little bit today, and we are going to fight a gigantic homeless encampment. We are going to take on a bunch of looters and other bandits with a very, very elite army. In fact, some of the fellows will recognize this. Hugh the Hammer here as part of our Perfect Bannerlord army series. And we're going to need it here because we're up against at least 6,000 looters. I didn't exaggerate. I didn't stutter. 6,783 looters. We, of course, are playing around with two different mods here, the adjustable bandit mod. Actually, we might get more because of the reinforcement system, but this is adjustable bandits cranked way high, and then the dangerous bandit mod as well. So these are not going to be just looters. They will have mounted pillagers and a bunch of looter cavalry as well. Now, Hugh the Hammer is going to lead the vanguard here, although the archers are going to kill here, right? We are going to form a lot of defensive units here for this battle, and it's going to be a wild affair. This is the kind of battle you just never see in Bannerlord, and it's going to be fun, right? This is clearly just for fun, although we are going to try to use our noggins here as we try to overcome thousands of hungry looters trying to loot our shit. Now, we've got elite companions on top of the fact that Hugh the Hammer is a beast and he has 330 medicine skill. This is the perfect army. It's got a great mix of archers, strong infantry, nasty cavalry, cons guards. We've got it all, right? We've got lasers coming out of our buttholes, or whatever they said in Braveheart, lightning bolts coming out of our arse. We're going to light some people up in this battle, and this is actually a really good map for it, right? Because we can pen them up at the top of one of those little steep hillsides. I've got various different captains here of different skill, but most of them are very, very good at what they do, right? They're commanding the different divisions. We've got an outstanding crossbow captain with a bunch of bow skill and crossbow. We've got good archers throughout, but we're going to change the banners here a little bit, right? We don't need to move fast against looters, but we do need to do more damage, right? So we're going to kind of go through here and systematically make sure that our banners are right. The 6th Corps, I'm going to make a skirmisher division, right? No more infantry or archer divisions, although I may regret only having 2 archer divisions, right? We have a crossbow division, the 4th division, and a regular archer division in the 5th. And I'm actually, the more I think about it, I'm not thrilled about that. Now, the 7th Division is basically 80 or 90% horse archers. Get these infantry divisions sorted out. Very, very difficult when you have Legionnaire, Wildlings, and Asserai veteran infantry to separate those guys. I would love to separate the Legionary from the Wildlings, but with all my different practice attempts here, all my different little buttons I can push for the unit preference, it's very difficult to get these guys separate. Unfortunately, this is just the nature of the system, so we're not going to worry about it too much. All 3 can effectively act as skirmishers and squares at different times of this battle. Now, this is going to be a long battle. That goes without saying, right? This is actually a little tiny bit like the Spartans situation. We've got 400 elite troops. The 2nd Cavalry is all elite cataphract, right? We're just going to put those guys up at the top in an initial square. And then the 8th Division is Javcav, right? When I zoom in here, almost every one of these, or 80% of them, are Asserai Vanguard Ferris. So this is the perfect Bannerlord army. And I guess we'll call it an offshoot of an offshoot, although this is purely for fun. If you don't like fun, you might as well hit that X button now or swipe left or whatever the hell you kids do these days, because this is going to be fun. Now, our crossbow division isn't quite as large as I'd like. We only have about 35 crossbow, and I'm going to keep them separate from the archers, but I don't know what to do here. I got to conserve ammo on some level, so what do we do? Let's see. We've got way too many archers. Here. Let's take the 3rd Division, and we will combine that with some of the other infantry. We'll just get rid of this infantry division altogether, turn that into an archer division, and then we can at least split our archers between the 3rd and the 5th. That is because ammunition preservation here is going to be essential. This is indeed a medieval example of a zombie apocalypse. Of course, these guys play these games these days where you're in a cabin or, some old building, and zombies are pouring through every single opening, and you've got a shotgun and X amount of ammo. Usually you got a couple friends or something like that. Well, we've got 400 friends, and we don't have a shotgun, but we have the machine gun known as the Fianchamp Consguard. Shit, they're closer to the edge of the ridge than I thought. We're gonna have to rush there. Now, this initial wave looks entirely like cavalry. I don't see any infantry in their first wave, and that is because the AI brings out its best units first. These mounted, what are they? Mounted ransackers. They're either tier 3 or tier 4. They're not horrible cavalry, but compared to our army, of course, they are just going to insta-die. The key will be penning them up there. We got to try to get to that ridge as fast as we can. Jam it up with a couple squares. And I'm basically going to open fire. Damn, they're already here. We're going to open fire sort of cautiously, 1 or 2 units at a time, right? We're going to have a couple units shooting, and we're going to have some units not shooting at all for 5 or 10 minutes in this battle, either the 4th or 5th. The 4th, we'll probably have them fire right away because it's crossbow. Then we can use them as offensive weapons. But the 3rd and 5th, we're going to have to conserve ammo a little bit there. And we've jammed up the top here. None of these guys can move. In fact, I can't fucking move. I've jammed it up so well here with my square and infantry line that I literally am stuck. It stinks. All these looters haven't had a bath since the plague of 906. That means it's been over 100 years since any of these guys had a bath, which means they've never had a bath in their life. And now we have the smell of dead horses. I can't move. This is wild. I mean, I guess I could try to move our whole division out of here, but I'm just going to try to fight through this. This is actually optimal, despite the fact that I'm trapped in here. I'm not really taking a lot of damage, and our archers are shredding everything, right? It's just, they look like javelins falling down the hill. I don't think those are javelins. I think those are all the spears of all of these cavalrymen just accumulating in a gigantic pile here down the slope. And the routing begins. My favorite sound in Bannerlord is when weak troops rout in the face of an onslaught. Save yourself! Help! They start screaming and begging for help. This is Sparta! Right, we'll yell as we fucking kick that guy to death. And the carnage has already begun. There's horses everywhere. We're going to jam this up with infantry. And this is, I can just tell this is going to be fun. We have incredibly elite units, but the enemy has at least 6,700 looters, and I bet it's going to be more than that because we have the reinforcement system activated, right? We are going to get other bands of looters. Some of them are thousands big. They're going to join this battle. Now, real quick, in case you want to replicate this in your own game, besides the badass army, which takes a while to create on your own, the 2 mods, again, we're using will be in the video description. They are the adjustable bandit mod and the dangerous bandit mod. We use those together, and if you use the right settings, the right configuration, well, you get this kind of result, right? A crazy zombie apocalypse. We are now shelling them with our skirmishers as they face the other direction. They're holding back our first corps on the enemy's right flank, and we're shelling them with javelins over here. I can add to the carnage. And strap yourself in. Now, we're suffering no losses, right? But we're going to eventually start to wear out here. We're going to run out of ammo. We're going to get guys that go from injured to dead. And it's going to be interesting to see if we can outlast this zombie apocalypse. Just like a regular zombie apocalypse, when you're playing one of those games, shooting or whatever, you're smoking them initially, right? And the zombies are dying as fast as you can shoot. But there's always a feeling that you're holding back an avalanche in a challenge like that. And that's what this feels like, literally. I feel like I'm holding back an avalanche of cavalry pouring down the hill. But, of course, we can turn on these other spigots of death anytime we want. Right, I just hit fire at will with that 5th division, and these guys will get insta-killed. Now, might have, a couple, 3 episodes of life in this little tiny mini-series here. I love just having fun, and what's more fun than just pounding on a whole bunch of mediocre troops with your elite army? We really do feel like we're taking on all of Calradia here. It's bigger, of course, than any of the challenges we took on with our perfect Bannerlord army series. So for that perspective, I'll be able to when in a tavern when I'm 80 years old and haven't been laid in 50 years because I'm a nerd playing video games, I'll be able to tell them, God, do you remember that day we killed 6,000 looters? Because I still do. And they're like, no, man, I don't remember that. That was just a video game. And I'll be like, oh, never mind, I'm a loser. I digress here. We're going to have some fun and not worry about that kind of shit, right? It's going to be a fun challenge here. We're going to throw javelins here into the side of all these looters. These are actually mounted pillagers. And these units here come with the dangerous bandit mod. Instead of just looter bands, they actually get horse archers. They're very weak. You can see they're not even wearing, they don't have sleeves. Most of them are wearing like a cloak and a bad, stinky piece of fur for armor. But they can still shoot you in the face with arrows. And it's a nice variability to looters. Instead of just having 1,000 infantry looters, we've got all these horse archers. There's cavalry charging all over the place, and it makes it a lot more interesting. Now, no reason for us to do anything except hold the edge here, right? The enemy's having a very hard time getting to our units. They're thoroughly penned up in this narrow valley here. The only time we will charge and push up the hill is to cycle charge with infantry, get them into the action, and then pull them back. Or, if it does look like the enemy's starting to rout, we can probably end the battle early by just hammering them with a couple vicious charges that'll trigger a rout, right? It'll trigger the system to rout. Now, I'm stealing a horse here just because I want to observe what's going on first. But I'm going to go kind of back and forth between being a foot troop and a cavalryman. I'm probably a lot safer on foot because up high like this, surrounded by infantry, I'm going to get shot. In fact, I'm already getting shot. They have a lot of archers, right? Those are all mounted pillagers. They're weak, but you get shot with enough arrows. Ask Boromir how that goes, right? Anybody's going to get killed. Doesn't matter how strong your character is. Now keep moving these units up closer. You want your archers as close as possible, doing as much damage as possible. We've got a couple different divisions we can charge with, right? We can be creative. This 8th division we can bring in, and they also have javelins, right? They're going to be adding to the carnage. We also have the horse archers down here. Basically, it's an entire division of Consguards. And then, last but not least, we have that infantry division, the 5th, in reserve. They are fully in reserve, back there twiddling their thumbs, while everybody else expels their arrows. And here come the infantry. The infantry is starting to pour over the ridge, so we can add these arrows to the mix and watch this shellacking these poor bastards take, right? It's just going to be carcasses flying down the hills fast as they can fall, and horses dying, and it's a spectacle to say the least, right? There's just looters and bodies of horses. The snow is barely visible underneath all the blood. We've got our mega powerful fast hammer here, and we're just trucking looters all over the place. Anybody that doesn't one-shot, it throws them across the screen. And maybe I'm having more fun than you guys, but this is great. Now, we're still considering the long game here, right? We're going to cycle shoot with our archers. I don't need to permanently shoot, and I don't want to permanently charge with our units. The reason we're doing that is kind of a simple one. We want the enemy piled up so no arrow misses. It hits somebody somewhere, right? If they're thick packed in there, the archers don't even need to aim. You just fling it in that general direction, you're going to kill. Now there's so many looters here I can't get to the outside. I want to try to get behind them, but there's just a horde. And they're stacked up in a huge clump. I got a guy dipshit coming after me. Get the fuck out of here, looter. Now, looters aren't totally inept. They're just really weak, right? Besides the fact that most of them die to one hit. They're doing 5 and 3 damage and stuff like that. To our elite units, it's going to take a looter beating on them for about a minute, probably, before they're at risk. But I see a death spam, right? Every once in a while, you see a red flick or two as the looters finally overcome some of our units. There's a couple deaths, in fact. When we pulled back, we suffered a couple 4 losses. So not a given either, right? There's a little level of suspense here, although this is the most obvious exhibition we've had in the entire episode. Still, we're here for entertainment. We're here for a spectacle, and that certainly is what you have here. Now, it's no laughing matter, but most of the cities... oh shit, here we go. So that's even more looters adding right there. So who knows how many we're up against as a rock bangs against my back here. But the archers are shredding. You can... And all you hear is a combination of enemies dying and routing. Hey, run! Everybody run! And then every once in a while, the satisfying smack of a hammer as looters go every which direction. It's incredible that the engine can handle all this. There's so many units flying all over the place, and their little sword goes flying, and then it rolls down the hill. It really is an astonishing game engine, despite all its flaws. Save yourself! This is amazing. And their corpses are sliding down. It's a good thing I'm not tripping and slipping all over the corpses on the hill here. There's nothing quite as satisfying as these tier 2 hammers where it blasts the enemy all over the map. There's very few weapons that do that, and this thing is so fast and has such a fast speed that you really kind of feel like Thor. Now, they've got a little flank here, a little inadvertent flank, so we're going to send an infantry division over there to deal with that. In fact, we can open fire here. We can't let the enemy really get behind us, right? The last thing we can afford is to be encircled. You probably noticed the power bar disappeared. This is something that we've been learning and doing a lot in the in the Valandian campaign, rather, and I think it's great. You guys aren't going to be sure how many more looters there are. You certainly can't count them, right? It's just a hillside full of looters. Let's charge. They're reeling here. Let's see if we can make them rout. There might be multiple battles here, too, right? There could be another whole... Oh, shit, another huge wave just poured down the stairs. Or poured down this slope. And they really do like those idiots that run down that super steep hill in Scotland where they start running too fast and they just turn into a fucking human cannonball coming down the grass. If you've never seen that shit, it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. It's an annual event, and they roll a fucking a round piece of cheese, I think, down to the bottom of the hill, and all these lunatic young people who don't know how bad they're going to hurt once they're 40, they race down the hill, and this hill is so steep that once you start going, just like these looters, you don't stop, right? Guys get knocked unconscious and shit, and their carcass of an unconscious body is just flipping down this hill as the crowd roars. It's half an enjoyment of Darwinism and just the physics of watching a human body get mauled. And I don't know, maybe it's the sadists in us. We love to see other people suffer. I love it when little looters yell for help and help! You know, they're begging for help and they just get smashed over the head with a sledgehammer. It's so satisfying. It's like, you know, legal bullying. We're not allowed to pick on kids. These days they just shoot you, right? There's just school shooting if you pick on kids. So we pick on looters instead, right? Set up one of these challenges. The next time you're frustrated, have yourself a little looter mangling. You'll probably come out of it feeling fucking better than a session of sex. You'll be like all relaxed and just relieved of all your anger. Just get in here and pummel these fucks. Listen to them rout. Just get your anger out on all these digital pixels. It's no use. As they get crushed by a hammer. Look at all the bodies sliding down the... Oh, it's glorious. And it's incredibly visceral. I mean, it's unbelievable how the game engine is able to handle hundreds of corpses all sliding down the hill, throwing their little pebbles. Meanwhile, half the looters are, I'm not dying right here, right now, and they're fucking routing. I'm not dying right here, and they get clubbed and shot in the back as they run uphill. We got to enjoy this just a little bit more. And of course, if you don't think this is funny, you've probably X'd out already, but this is great. These little stupid fucking peasants with their terrible headband. I don't care, he said, as they just get blasted in slow-mo. Now, we won't fight the whole battle in slow-mo, man, but you got to appreciate it. Look at this guy's on the ground. Kill him while he's down. We can't stop them. And maybe they can't, right? Maybe our army cannot be defeated by looters. I haven't seen a lot of Red Death spam lately. But I assure you, we are getting weakened, right? And we're going to run out of ammo. We literally have a herd of terrified looters. In fact, let's charge that shit. They look like fucking pigs, ready for the slaughter. Our troops, our troops roar with excitement as they get to slaughter some looters. And we might be able to make them rout here, right? Just an absolute throttling. For sure, the kill ratio must be like 50 to 1 or something like that. Still got half my health, but Hugh the Hammer is a beast. Even against regular units, he might kill 400 in this battle. Guys are just getting launched every which direction. Run! Now, believe it or not, I plan on finding harder challenges than this, right? This is a hard challenge. Something I actually want to do is have some ally help here, because I kind of want to see an ally on the battlefield being obliterated by thousands of looters. If you don't fight this correctly, or you don't have an elite army, you get destroyed here, right? You will get mauled. Every one of these looters will be swinging their little pickaxe. Run, everybody run! And then they scream because they get smashed. They're getting shot in the head. Just we can't stop them. That might be it. They might have just routed off the screen. There's a big stall there as all of a sudden every single looter looked for a hovel to hide in. We can hold our fire here just in case there's more troops. We did get reinforcements, right? So we may not be over with this episode yet. I said earlier, strap yourself in. I mean, if you're a fan of wild battles, this is certainly way up the list. But like I said, we're going to push this a little bit. So there's Battanian forces nearby. What I'm planning on doing for maybe episode 2 or 3 or something like that is trying to fight in a city where we get Battanian reinforcements and then we get looter reinforcements. And think of the possibilities, fellas. Let me just give you an idea. With the reinforcement system cranked, I think we can get all of the local Battanians to join us. So hundreds of units sort of coming in, you know, this division, that division. I'll tear your limbs. He just gets and it's great when they get smashed to the ground. That might have been it. They just routed again. But imagine it. What if we get a battle with 30,000 looters or something like that? That's definitely possible with this mod. In fact, I've seen 14,000 forest bandits. Now, they were not all the forest bandits. Some of them were the lower level archers and whatnot. This does look like it. Although, those numbers are getting bigger. There is a group of infantry coming our way, right? And infantry, of course, you know what I mean, right? And another angry group of very hungry looters. And here they come. They just roll over the hill exactly like an apocalypse, right? A zombie apocalypse. We will hold fire till they're close, because I don't know if it's 300 or 4,300, right? With this reinforcement system, with this mod, I think it's conceivable that 100,000 looters could come onto the battlefield all in the same battle. So we're going to push it here, right? There might be 4 or 5 episodes here if the episodes are interesting, right? We're not going to be able to do a castle siege or anything like that. Looters don't participate in that. But they will participate in battles in villages, and they will participate in battles where the Battanians are in as well, right? So we could get, because we're at peace, or we will have peace, I'll just declare peace with the Battanians. What we'll have is an ally, and the Battanians probably will join the battle, but there's also thousands, a couple of the stacks of looters with 10,000 looters. So the potential for some really fun, chaotic battles. It'll be really interesting to have that third element, right? A whole nother element of chaos by having a Battanian noble in the battle as well. And again, the numbers of units are going to be probably unlike anything anybody's seen on Bannerlord. Or at least, if there are, I haven't heard of it. I've heard of people doing challenges of thousands of looters and stuff like this, but this might be 100,000. We might be able to push this to the max. And Hugh the Hammer is going to gain some levels. Doesn't really matter. This series is an exhibition. At this stage, none of this matters too much. Run! Everybody run! We're all gonna die! All right, let's move our cavalry to our right wing here. Again, I really don't know what we're facing, right? So I got to fight this at least a little bit intelligently. That was a really short looter. We do have a mod that is also, I think, essential for something like this. That is because there's only 2, 3, 4 looter models with the base game. But we have a mod called Random Bodies. And what it does is it makes every single unit in the whole battlefield different. They might have similar armor, but in the case of the looters, they've got all kinds of different clothes. They've got all kinds of different weapons. Some of them have little stupid helmets on. Some of them, you can see, have war paint on their face. Some have beards, mustaches. Some are bald. Some are fat and short. It's great. It basically looks like a gigantic homeless infestation of Calradia here. And before anybody gets too offended, I'm sympathetic to homeless people. My wife and I do what we can for people struggling in this world. But I think it's better that we laugh at a video game than at them in real life, and then try to take compassion when we can and when we probably need to. We will pound on looters in video games. Let's start to make a push here. Let's see if we can't blow them off the map. It'll also be really interesting because they're going to be spawning in that direction. And it could be these two different forces colliding in the center of the battlefield here. Plus, it'll just be a lot more interesting if it's a variable. They're going to be coming up, throwing their little petrified turds at us, and we can set up some basic tactics here. Move up some infantry lines. We've still got some ammo, although we're definitely starting to get low, despite all the different death sounds. Despite our efforts to save ammo, we are eventually going to run out. I don't care. The day is lost. And this is where the sound of Bannerlord is exquisite. I think there's 500 sound channels. And what that means is that I think there could be 500 different sounds occurring all at the same time, right? And your sound card and your software can handle it all. And that's what makes it sound like an epic battle, right? There's hundreds of different sounds occurring like every second. From the smash of the mace to dudes 20, 50, 80 feet away routing. People screaming for help. We're overrun. And if you're not having fun watching something like this, man, you really need to get some antidepressant, because this is pure fun right here. What you guys need to do is you need to do it yourself. There is not a huge amount of requisite skill to something like this. And the beautiful thing about these mods is you can customize it, right? Instead of 8,000 looters, you can make the piles of looters 700 or 900. You know, just set your save game up so that whatever it is, you can handle it and have a good chance to win. Because if you get mauled by looters, then you'll probably go beat your dog or something like that, right? You want to have success and pound on your video game. That way you get all your anger out, right? If you play a video game and you get more angry, you're rage quitting, you probably need to change the difficulty level, right? I tell guys all the time, use whatever difficulty level you want. Anybody shames you, I just ignore their fucking stupid asses, right? This game is for fun. All games are for fun. That's the very definition of it. Who cares? Just have fun. I mean, we're playing on regular player damage, or whatever it's called, Bannerlord difficulty, because otherwise it would just be boring. Right? We'd just be flattening everything. We wouldn't even suffer losses. There's a small chance we lose this battle still, because I don't know how many enemies are coming. Right? It seems never-ending. And there might be 20 or 30,000 looters in this battle. There's a chance, right? So we'll see if I rue the day that we moved in aggressively here, because soon we're going to be near the edge of the map, and the enemy's just going to perma-spawn in our face. I think it might be close now. Look at this zombie apocalypse looming up out of the snow. Now, tactically, we can still form squares here. We've got archers on one side and squares and infantry lines on this left, right? We're still going to do a little bit of tactics. We're watching Tactical Enlightenment, right? We're always going to do some level of tactics. If we're not demonstrating tactics, we're going to be talking about tactics. Now our archers are on the other side, firing into the side of the enemy. None of our infantry get in their way, and so maximum firepower of all those archers over there, right? The arrows are going to start whizzing in here. Now they've got cavalry again, so this is definitely reinforcements, right? Now it's just a question of how many they have. And we're gaining levels the old-fashioned way, right? Just smash your enemy to pulp. I'm down to a quarter health, so I got to be a little careful here. But it's not like I'm going to sit in the back and just command my units here. We're getting into the action. Got archers still shooting. Pretty soon it's going to be time to charge with archers because I see guys over there that are just holding their shield. I see Sergeant Crossbow and other infantry in there that are just standing there. The 5th Corps does have 27 infantry in it, so those guys are going to have to be involved at some point. Just going to pull our horses out. Horses can get killed pretty readily by looters. And kind of see what we're dealing with here. I don't really want to be pressed right up against the enemy reinforcement spot because I think eventually we will get swamped. Now, these spears are a problem for me. I'm down to a sliver of health. Just take his foot off. Alright, our archers are ready for another volley here. We're going to be patient though, right? Let's bring these infantry divisions over in a square in front of them. I can bring the horse archers up, the cons guards. They're now basically just shock troops on a horse. And we're getting pretty close to an F1, F3. And I don't know how many enemy forces there are, right? There's probably hundreds, there might be thousands. And all of a sudden my hammer is swinging slow. Maybe my character finally got tired. This happens sometimes. Your weapon all of a sudden will get really slow speed. And maybe it's because I'm down to a sliver of health. But I don't think so. I think it's just a little bug. You see it sometimes. Now these cavalrymen are doing some damage to us because they're charging. These are tier 3 cavalrymen. Their clothes are changing right in front of my eyes. Run! Everybody run! We've got our square here. Our archers are moving up. Our crossbow is out of ammo. Our horse archers are low or out. We've got a handful of archers in the 5th Division that have ammo, but we're to the Zerg stage, right? You just send the war dogs here. Send the horse. Full attack, right? Every Scot with the horse will be fleeing. We're going to crush them here, English noble style, like the Battle of Falkirk and Braveheart. Or no, that was the Battle of Stirling, right? Where that dipshit commander, send the horse. Full attack. And just showed his hubris. Of course, the actual Battle of Stirling was nothing like that. It was actually at a bridge, Battle of Stirling Bridge. We have covered some historical episodes on the channel, but they get absolutely lost in the shuffle of episodes. It's the nature of a content maker when you have dozens or even hundreds of videos, is people don't see all your content, right? There's so many episodes here, it's like going to a library. You're gonna miss some books, right? Simply because there's so much content. All right, the enemy's penned up, and this might be it. Let's just barrel in here. Our archers are out of ammo, or almost out of ammo. We can send all those infantrymen in here, and it's like the enemy's penned up against the edge of the map, and that might be all they have. If it's not, we're still gonna keep charging here. Cons guards bore in, swinging their glaives up and down. I'm going to try to get to a flank here. And they really do look hapless. All these mounted pillagers, their horses are dying at an astonishing rate. The hammer's just clubbing everything to pieces. They're still yelling for help. And of course, it'd be horrible in a real battle to hear people begging for their life. Help! And they get killed. But it's very different in a video game. Fucking hilarious to see all these little animatronics units screaming for help, screaming, I don't care, and routing off the edge of the battlefield while they get cut to ribbons. It's fucking beautiful. You lost your horse, dude. Now you're kicked and pounded. And that's it. You have won the battle. What a fucking amazing battle that was. That's so 1 for 1, right? I did think we might lose this first episode just because I thought we would get a ton of reinforcements. But instead, we festooned the snow here with the bodies of the looters. This giant pile of rummaging bandits just get ground into the snow. And I don't know. I hope you guys had fun with that shit because that was great. Now, this is absolutely farming. Look at all the different perk points. We did lose one of our companions here, but that doesn't mean shit. And only 100 dead, or at least 100 down. So we really did maul them. And what is that? 9,000? Over 10,000 total enemies dispatched here. 4,000 routed. And oh shit. So these are reinforcements. And we're surrounded here. So I'm injured. I won't be able to fight. I would have to auto-resolve. I have one choice here. We got to hit that try to get away. And we lose a bunch of equipment. That doesn't fucking mean dick. We're just trying to get away. There's thousands of looters. This guy's like, it's shameful to run. Yeah, well, you'd be hacked to pieces by looters if I didn't do that. So shut the fuck up and listen to your commander. We're down to 250 troops. We're encumbered. But none of this matters. The looters move really slowly as well. We're going to be able to get away. We're going to be able to restock this army, and we're going to come back for round 2, right? Unless this gets like 30% likes and a whole bunch of down thumbs. We're going to, you can see all the different bands around here. 15,000 looters. We're going to declare peace with the Botanians here, and we're going to see what kind of crazy carnage we can have here. This is going to be fun. Of course, this is your opportunity to subscribe, right? You want to see more from this series? I will try to make a playlist eventually. You can also hit notify. That way you know when new episodes come out. Please hit that like button on the way out. Or if you have any other ideas, leave them here. And with all that said, I will see you friends next time.